Hey, what's up all of you beautiful subscribers? Welcome back to the Chapple Show. So Uber is going to be offering free college and university tuition. We're going to talk about that along with another story about how taxis are suing for over $1 billion because they don't like Uber. And the last story we're going to talk about is a giant strike in Canada that's going on right now, which is probably affecting you indirectly. So anyways, let's jump into the first story, Uber and college and university. So if you haven't heard about this, they released a statement regarding a new program called Uber Pro. And so they have a bunch of perks that come with this new driver program. And I'll read you the statement first. I'll read you some statements and I'll give you my opinion. So here's what they said. Drivers also told us their ambitions go beyond the road, that they are often driving with big goals in mind. So we are partnering with Arizona State University to provide eligible drivers or their families the opportunity to complete courses toward an undergraduate degree or a non-degree certificate through ASU Online with tuition fully covered. ASU Online is ranked as one of the top online degrees in the US and ranked #1 in innovation by US News for the past 4 years. All right, so here's what they went on to say. Eligible drivers can choose from 80 plus undergraduate programs, 8 different English language courses tailored to their skill level, or get certified in entrepreneurship. Tuition is 100% covered. Classes start at 4 hours each and can be completed online anytime. So education can fit around their life and not the other way around. Okay, so that's the first part of the Uber program. And so there's a few things that you have to do to actually be eligible for this. On the surface, this sounds great. I'm totally for it if the company wants to do it. They've partnered with I've heard that Arizona State University is actually decent for online. Now online, is that a real degree? People always debate that. I think that online is a good way to learn certain skills. It's tough to learn communication and certain life skills unless you're actually in a classroom and communicating with people. But online, this could be a really good thing. Online skills are a good thing to learn. Anyways, they went on to mention some more stuff. Let's dive into this here. So with Uber Pro, drivers can unlock rewards like higher earnings and savings that help them make the most of their time on the road. For example, drivers can get up to 25% off standard car maintenance, 20,000 shops nationwide, and 5% cash back at any gas station with the Uber Visa debit card. I think I actually talked about that almost last year when they wanted to do that with they wanted an Uber card. So I don't know if that's a new thing or not. But drivers can also enjoy rewards such as faster airport pickups and free dent repair. Riders will also be able to see drivers' Uber Pro status in the app when they request a ride. Okay, so that's part of it. To get some of the perks, you have to use their card, their debit card. Now that's one of the other ways that they're going to get some money for. I'm guessing they're going to have certain fees and charges to actually have the card. Maybe they won't, but they have to probably to make some money. So that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to get people into their finance system to help finance some of the education stuff that they're getting into, or potentially some of the driving costs, or they're paying the drivers. It's another way to get some fees. We'll see. But they also went on to say here, Uber Pro is designed to recognize drivers commitment in high quality service. So here's the deal. To unlock rewards, drivers need to maintain at least a 4.85 star rating and a low cancellation rate. Now, what is low? They wouldn't give exact numbers. Drivers earn points on every trip during fixed 3-month periods, and the points they earn in one period go towards unlocking status in the next. So what they want is they want you to keep driving with Uber. That's what that means. To get all of the best rewards, you have to keep driving with them. And you get checked in on every 3 months, and if you do well after every 3 months, you get a bonus reward. And I'm guessing the rewards get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes along. I don't know how long you have to be with Uber in order to get that college tuition paid for. But I'm guessing it's going to be more than 3 months, in my opinion. So what do I think of all this? And what do you think of all this? I think that this is a good thing. In general, they've had a lot of bad PR, especially over the past year, which I've talked about, tons of bad PR. And this could be a good thing. Now, what is the value of the online skills, of the actual university degree? That's up for debate. I'm hoping that the undergraduate degrees that they can get online are not stuff that is not applicable to the world. I really hope that it's at least something in the humanities or sciences, or even, some of the arts programs are good too. I'm not just, when you There's certain programs out there that I don't promote in university, and when people graduate with a ton of debt with a useless degree, that's a bad thing. So hopefully out of those 80 degrees that you can potentially get funded by Uber, hopefully a lot of them are actually useful in the world. So what do you think of this? I think it's a good idea. It might actually promote more drivers to join up with Uber. And I'm guessing that this is just for United States drivers. I'm going to go ahead and guess that ASU probably only partnered and would only allow US drivers into their program. So, but Uber Pro, I'm guessing it's going to be rolled out. It's going to be rolled out nationwide. That's right, nationwide, and then worldwide, maybe eventually if it goes well. So what do you think of the Uber Pro program? Let me know in the comments down below. I think that this could be a very, very good thing. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, actually, you know what? I want to mention one more thing about the undergrad thing, about the Uber Pro was that, so, you know, they're going to be potentially pumping money towards the undergrad programs, but I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, why don't you just pay your drivers more? And that is a thing that I've talked about before, is that in certain areas and depending on what your car is, if you're an Uber driver, you pretty much might only make a net of like $5 an hour, $7 an hour, which is not enough to get by. Now, if you have a good mileage car, a good area, lots of demand, you can make a net of, you know, $15 an hour, sometimes more in certain cases I've seen. And so I know a lot. I mean, I'm in LA, I took an Uber in LA and Anaheim when I went there. I took several Ubers, and, you know, the drivers I talked to was that, you know, they're barely getting by. I think one of which was doing okay, actually, and then one of which was like, I'm making no money, I'm living in a place that's super cheap, I have a wife and kid, and wife has to work all the time, and we're living in this tiny, you know, 1-bedroom apartment with her kid, and it's tough. And that's what he was saying. And so, you know, that's one of the complaints that I'm going to be seeing from this, I'm guessing, is that, well, why don't you just, I mean, it is a good thing if someone maybe gets their degree, they have higher potential earning power in the future. So I get that. It allows drivers to potentially make more money by going to university paid. But I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, why don't you just pay your drivers more instead of giving away these perks where you have to use a debit card, an Uber debit card. So anyways, let's move on to the next story here. Relating to Uber was that, well, what do you guys know? Is that taxi companies are mad that the province of Quebec in Canada allowed Uber to continue. So is Uber still banned in London, by the way? Wasn't it banned in like London or France or Paris or something? I forget. But so what happened was that in 2016 or 2015, Quebec, the province of Quebec, allowed Uber to be a part of a pilot program where Quebec said, you know what, we're going to try this out. We'll see if we like it. We'll see if it's good for the economy. And then it's going to last a year or two, and then we'll see what happens. So they allowed the pilot program for a year to go by. They liked it. 2 years, they renewed it. And they renewed it again this year. So they kept renewing the program because they actually thought that Uber was decent and was not doing a terrible thing for the economy. And a lot of people liked it. And so taxis are mad. And they have part of a reason is to be mad, and part of a reason is not to be mad. So why should they be mad, and why are they suing the provincial government of Quebec for over $1 billion? One of which is that they went, hey, wait a second here. We have to get certified, and we have to get permits to drive people around. And we have to be a taxi driver to drive people around. But you're letting Uber just come in, and now all of a sudden the permits that we paid for that cover us for a few years are worthless? What do you and those permits could be, you know, I've heard upwards of a few $1,000s in some cases after everything, all the approvals. I heard it can be $1,000 plus. Plus you have to rent out the taxi cab in a lot of cases too. So taxis are not happy that Uber is taking away a lot of their business. And so that they have good reason for that part in terms of the permits. They paid a lot of money. Now Uber comes in and they don't really need to pay anything. Why they should not be mad is because it's adapt or die in the business world. Uber provided a better service. Uber provided quicker service. So instead of in parts of suburbs, especially, or in parts that are on the outskirts of cities, you know, not Manhattan, it's really tough to get a cab in obviously the suburbs and on the outskirts of cities. Meanwhile, Uber, so if you were to call a cab, it might take 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes an hour to get a cab in certain areas. But if with an Uber, we're talking 5 minutes, 10 minutes in some cases. Sometimes if in certain areas it's 2 minutes if you're in a city, less. And so that's part of the reason. I mean, Uber is a much better service than cabs. That's just what happens. The taxis didn't adapt. There was actually, funny enough, I'm reading the book. I finished it. I'm on another book now. There's a book called The Upstarts, which I should put for sale on Joisk actually, and it's about how Uber and Airbnb took over essentially. And they're funny enough. There was an app which was very similar to Uber, but it was solely for taxis. However, there was a few parts of the app and they couldn't scale it enough. But there was an app for taxis out there to be very similar to Uber, where people would just go on the app, or even I think it might have been a website too, actually, where you'd go on and say, hey, come pick me up at this time or whatever, and then they would come by. It was right away, they would come by. Now, they didn't have the whole geolocation, they didn't have the proper APIs. It was more of a, this is where I am, come pick me up as soon as you can, and they would. And that's what would happen. And that was for cabs specifically, but that app didn't grow and Uber took off. Uber was very open source. It wasn't just for cabs, it was for everyone. And it's kind of interesting because cabs could have done that. But part of the problem with growing that was that you had to go to all the cab unions from all of the places around the nation or around the world. You had to go, there's different cab unions in Quebec, there's different ones in Ontario, different ones in New York, different ones in LA, different ones in Europe, right? But Uber, they could just go in. And they didn't have to talk to anyone. They just went in and just said, we're going to do it. Try to stop us. And so that's why that scaled. Anyways, it's a really interesting book called The Upstarts, and that was just one very small part of it. But you can go to, hopefully I'll have it on for sale at joisk.com. I'll try to get that up when this video is up. So anyways, I'll leave a link down below for The Upstarts. If you want to purchase that book, go for it. Anyways, the last thing I want to talk about is actually relating to Joisk, and might be affecting you, especially if you're in Canada or if you're buying from somewhere in Canada. And it will be affecting me, and it's why I haven't scaled my website as much and tried to sell as much as possible. So I today went to go drive. I think I was going to go get food. And as I live right across the street from a place called Canada Post. Canada Post is the largest shipping company in Canada. It is bigger than UPS and bigger than FedEx, bigger than all those other companies. And it is regulated by the government. They are paid by the government. Now, they're paid indirectly through consumers, really. Most of their revenue comes from consumers, but the government kind of dictates a lot of the wages and stuff too. So it's kind of complex. The consumers pay the government, who pays the workers. That's how it goes. Anyways, so I drove home, and outside the Canada Post, which is pretty much right across the street from here, there's a one building in the way, or else I'd turn the camera around here, was that everyone was standing outside with their pickets, and the picket line, and they had all their signs up and booths up because they're on strike. And Canada Post is on strike, meaning that I cannot provide 1 to 2 day shipping without losing a ton of money on Joisk. And so that's not good. You know, when we were selling a ton of packages, when I was really promoting it, I mean, I could right now be selling tons of packages and scaling the site and growing a bunch. However, the strike started about 2 weeks ago and everything started slowing down. It might have been 3 weeks ago. So I made the decision where, you know what, I'm going to focus on building the tech of Joisk. For now, I'm going to focus on building the tech, and I'm going to shut down all of the advertisements on the site, all of them. And so because I didn't want to lose money on every single product, which would have to happen if I wanted to get products to people very fast. And I do not want to be one of those companies which has to ship really slow and take, I mean, if you buy something from Wish, it takes 4 weeks, and I don't want to do that. And so I could go use UPS. It's going to cost me double to ship stuff, which is a lot. FedEx is more than that. So for now, I'm just going to be waiting a little bit. And if the strike goes on for another week or two, I am going to just have to go to UPS and start using them, and I'll start losing money. Start to go to UPS more. I've already started using them. So what am I saying, right? I'll start advertising and using UPS. So anyway, so why am I talking about this regarding you is because, well, we're going to talk about unions for a second. And unions are, they're both good and bad. And I've talked about them a bunch. And, it's funny. Last year, my girlfriend specifically, so she started selling stuff online a fair bit this year. selling her own stuff online. And she sells a fair amount of stuff, a few things a week. And so she started using Canada Post. And she was very, very pro-union. Her whole family's pro-union until this strike happens. This was the first time that she experienced a strike for her business. And all of a sudden, the prices for Canada Post, they're still kind of running in certain places, but now they're completely shut down. So she's going to have to go to UPS now. But the prices went way up, and now she's like, wait a second. Is this what kind of unions do? And then I explained to her. So we looked through some of the... Canada Post threatens to strike or goes on strike roughly every 2 to 4 years once their contract expires. So I've seen a few of these in my lifetime, and they usually only last about a month or so. Last time, the federal government said it was illegal for Canada Post to strike, and so they went back to work after that. It's called the right to work, I don't know, something like that, right to work or something like that. But anyways, let's look at the wages here. So they do make a pretty good wage for the most part here. You're seeing that the average for a lot of the Canada Post workers is about 20 bucks an hour. So I mean, some at 16. If you're one of the very low level people, you'll make about minimum wage, which is about 14 bucks. But for the most part, you're making about 20 bucks an hour, which is decent. And so you're making, and apparently the government offered a lot more money per hour for the workers too, a substantial increase. They said no to that. And so, I mean, I get both perspectives here, because what they're saying is that, yeah, pay is okay. This is what the argument is. Pay is okay for Canada Post right now, but they feel like they're being overworked and overburdened, and they don't have enough hours. And I get that. That's what's happening right now. They're being overworked and overburdened because Amazon came in, e-commerce came in. They're having to ship a lot more packages versus mail. They're losing a lot of money too, so the government's being really tight on Canada Post and what they can actually pay them. They want more time off. So I see both sides to this. I mean, they are probably being overworked, but they are being paid decently well. And it's just a very... It's unfortunate, because this is like a guaranteed strike that happens at the end of every contract, or a guaranteed threatened strike. And I've seen this with a lot of unions, but then again, some unions deserve it. So what do you guys think of unions as a whole? And what do you guys think of this whole Canada Post strike? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope it gets resolved soon, or else I might just go full time back to UPS. I mean, I really don't want to stick with UPS because they are expensive. But I'm hoping Canada Post and this whole issue can be resolved very soon, because it's really hurting small businesses like mine. It's tough paying double for shipping. It really, really sucks. So anyways, that's why, again, the growth of Joisk and me not uploading as many entrepreneurship videos over the past 2 weeks has happened, is because, well, I'm really trying not to sell as much stuff as I can right now. I know it sounds silly. I'm going to focus solely on the tech side and make that beautiful. And then hopefully when the strike resolves, if it does in the next few weeks, I'll be good to go and scale it up as fast as possible and run a bunch of ads and have a bunch of people come to the website and buy stuff. So for now, that's going to wrap this video up. So thank you very much for watching. Check out joisk.com if you want to support this channel. But maybe don't buy anything, maybe sell something. Go online and upload some designs. I know we've gotten a bunch of designs, so that's great. But for now, thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people. I'll see you guys in the next video.